Hello, lady and gentlemen. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's time to listen. I'm sorry I can't be there with you today. Last Friday, we tried to improve my maze game, and that may have been a little too tough. So today I want to take it back a step and walk you through using the XY coordinates to move your sprites. We had some good questions on Friday about how to make a sprite jump onto an object, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. So we are going to start by changing our stage and changing our sprite. I think you already know how to do this, but if you don't, I'm going to start with a little review. Follow my mouse out to the stage. I'm going to click on my stage, and I want to change my stage. I would like to, oops, that's not what I want to do. I would like to import a stage, and I think I'm going to choose from the drop down. We have a choice of backgrounds. I'm going to choose indoors, and of course I'm going to choose the library. No reason. I'm going to get rid of that boring blank stage, and I'm going to call my stage library. Okay, now let's do something about this cat. I'm not feeling like a cat today. I'm feeling more like a monster. So I'm going to go into my costume, and I'm going to import a new costume. Let's see, from what kind of costume do I want? Do I want another cat? No, this wasn't what I wanted. I think I wanted a monster. That's where the monsters are. You can choose any kind of sprite, any kind of stage that you would like. Now I'm going to get rid of these old sprites that I do not need. I'm going to name my sprite Monster. Okay, so now that we have changed our stage and our sprite, I'm going to give our sprite some scripts. So click on Sprite down here and go up to the scripts. Now, the first thing we always start with is a control command. Your control commands are in the yellowy orange color. When the green flag is clicked, that's when everything starts. We are going to do something. We are going to use our XY coordinates to have a starting point. Now, some of you have sprites that you lose when they float off the screen. You're not going to have that problem anymore. You're going to give your sprite a starting point. You're going to give your sprite a starting point by having him or her glide to an XY coordinate. Now, how do you know what XY coordinate you need? To figure out which XY coordinate you need, you have to watch your mouse box over here. See how the coordinates change as I move my mouse around? Okay, keep your eye on here. I'm going to move my sprite to a starting point, and my mouse coordinates say X -80, Y -65. So up here, I'm going to go over to my scripts and plug in, I think it was -80 and -65. So no matter where I put my sprite, when I click that green flag, he's going to glide to his starting point. So I want him to jump on this here chair. How am I going to do that? Well, first I'm going to have him wait a minute with my control commands. The control commands are in the orange. I'm going to have him wait a second, because if your animation happens too quickly, you don't really catch it, and it's not really as interesting. So I'm going to have him wait a second, and then I'm going to have my sprite go into motion. I'm going to have my sprite going into motion the same way I made my start point. I'm going to have him go to another point on the screen. I'm going to take, this is your travel time, 1 second, and these are your XY coordinates, -80 and -65. Now if they stay the same, your sprite isn't moving anywhere. So let's have our sprite jump up in the air. Let's take a look at my mouse coordinates when I have them in the right spot. It's at, let's see, 19 and 49. So let's go to 19 and 49. And as you'll notice, your mouse coordinates can be negative or positive. 0, 0 would be right in the center of the screen. So when my green flag is clicked, we're going to glide to our start point, wait a second, and then jump up in the air. Let's see if it happens. Glide to the start point, jump in the air, and then nothing. I want him to land on the chair, right? So I'm going to go back to my control commands, and I'm going to have a moment of waiting before he changes point. I'm going to have him wait half a second. It's going to be a little bit Looney Tunes style with the hovering in midair when you jump. And we are going to go back to our motion commands. Take a look at your motion commands. Have him glide over the course of 1 second. He's going to take 1 second to get to his next coordinate, which is, watch my mouse, over to the chair. And what coordinate is that? That's 178 and negative 17. So let's change that to 178 and negative 17. Let's see how that works. Start, jump, and land. Pretty close. I don't think that's quite right. Let me get him centered more. 168 and negative 1. No. How about 162 and 0? Let's try that. 162 and 0. So, let's see if my sprite jumps like I asked him to. Click the green flag, jump, and land. Now, if you want to get very fancy, you can have your sprite flip back in the air and maybe do a backflip when he goes back to his starting point. How do we do that? How do we get our sprite to start, jump, land, and then do a nice backflip? We're going to use our turning commands to do that. Now, today's assignment is going to be just to make a sprite that has a starting point, a jump, and a landing. But if that is more easy than you are interested in, if you want to do something a little harder, you can have your sprite do a backflip. So, these are my turning commands. As you can imagine, you're going to have to jump back up in the air. You're going to have to turn while you are jumping in the air. Let me show you how to do this in the next movie.